Thank you. Good morning. It's certainly great to see folks who are interested in the issues that are being discussed here today coming together and having a conversation, dialogue. One of the things we realize in the town of North Hempstead is that we, the town, can be a vehicle for people better understanding how to address issues of concern to our senior population. It doesn't have to be them over there. It doesn't have to be this professional group that somehow is removed from the actual day-to-day discussions that seniors have, that people who are aging have, that caregivers have, in terms of how to deal with everyday problems. And it could be what we're talking about here today, whether or not it's being subject to some type of financial imposition, people doing things that are nefarious, that are undermining our seniors, taking advantage of people. It could be simply figuring out how to deal with an emotional problem that you're having at a particular moment in time. It could be trying to figure out how to go shopping in the rain when you don't want to get in the car and drive yourself. And what happens is, as we age, we realize that there are certain faculties that diminish. There are things that happen to us that happen at any age. It could be someone younger or older, but at some point in our lives, there comes a point when we need a level of assistance that we didn't need before. And so in the town of North Hempstead, we developed Project Independence to help us maintain that level of independence while also finding the assistance that we need to navigate through our senior years. It could be a handyman helping with a plumbing problem. It could be a taxi ride to a shopping market or a medical visit. It could be a nurse visiting your home and saying, you know what? Or a social worker visiting your home and saying, you know what? You're having some other issues. We think you might need to take this to another level. We think you might need to call a professional. We think you might benefit from a particular organization or a particular discussion that's going on. And then you will have the opportunity to grow confidence in your own situation. Very important. We talk about in Project Independence how if somebody is just in a position in their life where they are depressed, and it could be a momentary thing. It could be the anniversary of a loved one's passing. It could be something that's going on in their lives. It could be that they're ill or that they couldn't fix something and their faucet is leaking and then they have some mold and then they get a little sick and then they get more depressed and then they get sicker and that makes them more depressed and they don't know who to call. We say you can call your son or your daughter who lives down the block, but then if you call them, they're going to make you feel that you're somewhat helpless, so you don't call them because you don't want to bother them, you don't call, you don't write, so they feel that you're just doing fine. And so what happens, you get a little bit more depressed, you get a little bit more sick, and your problem does not get resolved. Or it could be an issue where your finances are such that you're being abused in some way, you're not sure if it's true, but you don't want to admit it because you're embarrassed, and so you do nothing, and then it gets worse, and then you lose more money, and then it gets worse, and then you get ill for it, and then you get more depressed. And all these terrible things have this terrible cycle, and you don't know what to do, you don't know who to call. If you call your family, you're afraid that your family might lose confidence in your ability to sustain yourself in your own home. And so then there's a cycle downward. And so what we've developed in the town is this simple thing, call 311. A phone number that's very easy to remember. You call 311, you get the Project Independence, you get a professional social worker who might send you a nurse or a professional or a person who's studied or has dealt with this stuff. Maybe it's a financial analyst who can tell you, things are happening here that you should be aware of and you need to take some action. And if you don't know what to do, we can guide you through this. We can connect you to the right people. We can be there to assist you, to give you that helping hand for this moment in time when you need that assistance. With the understanding that next week you might be perfectly fine. Your parent might be perfectly fine. Your neighbor might be perfectly fine. Your spouse might be perfectly fine. But today, you need that helping hand. And so we here want to help you navigate, help seniors navigate, help the 50,000 people 60 years and older in our town navigate through their senior years in a way that gives them the independence, the quality of life that they deserve, that you deserve, that we deserve, to help maintain the communities that our senior population helped create. So we think Project Independence is a wonderful partner for anybody who's interested in understanding how government can help assist our senior community. I've spoken to people here today. There's partnerships that we've yet to develop, partnerships that we've already established, certainly with John Ryan and Johnny Montgomery who's helped bring this thing together, the Unitarian Church, our senior center in Great Neck, and the other senior centers in our community. All the folks. I know Sure LHA is one of our partners in so many ways. The other hospital systems, Winthrop, St. Francis, Nassau University Medical Center, our social worker agencies. We form these partnerships so that we can develop the relationship and navigate our senior years in a way that makes sense to our seniors, our population, our residents.
What a terrific opportunity to be able to hear from elected officials, and I know you've already heard from some. Jack Martins was here, a great town supervisor. John Kaiman was here, who's been so responsible for bringing Project Independence to the town, bringing 311, which is now tied into Project Independence. I saw Michelle Schimmel. You're going to be hearing from Charlie Berman, our receiver of taxes, later. So that, combined with the wonderful professionals that have been here, this is really a seminar, and I see that it is being recorded, which is great because it will have, people who are not here will also have the opportunity to get the benefit of so much of the information that's being shared today. So I'm thinking that John and Peter, which is very prescient in their having this seminar today, because I can tell you in the last week, there have been 3 articles about elder financial abuse as well as fraud. And so either they have this crystal ball that they were looking into, or this has become such a pervasive problem in our community. And so we need to know about it. So the first one is about a Long Island man who stole from a Holocaust survivor. So I will tell you, my parents were Holocaust survivors, and I read this and I thought, it's simply unbelievable that this was happening. So an Oyster Bay accountant stole more than $1.2 million from an elderly Holocaust survivor, writing himself checks for rent and hot tub repairs. And this is the Manhattan District Attorney has made us aware of that. These charges reveal an egregious example of financial elder abuse. A Holocaust survivor who entrusted her finances to a law firm was the unwitting victim of a shocking theft. All the things that we're hearing about today, the things that we need to be aware of, that we need to make sure that we make sure that our parents, that we ourselves are protected from things such as this. So I'll share a little story with you. My mom, who was a sharp cookie, I have to tell you, she was a survivor in every respect. She had CDs, not a lot of them, but she had some. And those were the days when CDs actually paid interest. You remember those days? And I was on the CD with her, and it became my role to renew the CD, to make sure I got the best interest rate, to take the interest out, because that's what she was living on. And she insisted that when I took the bank book, that I had to write the bank book number. If she had a book, I had to write the bank book number on it. I had to sign it. Then I would bring her back the interest. I'd have to give her back the book and record that I had returned it. I thought she was nuts, and actually was somewhat offended that she was asking me to do this. But now, in light of all that I'm hearing, I see she was really a woman who was ahead of her time, because she was making sure that she was in control of her finances. And even though I was a daughter, and I know she loved me dearly and she trusted me, there was that element of making sure that she still had control of her finances. So I applaud her for that. I really wish I would be able to tell her that, because I know she knew that I was just amazed that I had to do that. But she was right. So another article, this is double fraud, and many of you may have read about this, a fundraising company that duped people into giving money to a breast cancer charity. So not only did they dupe the money from the people, many of them who were seniors, they then didn't give the money to the breast cancer organization that was supposed to be getting the money. And so now they have to pay restitution. But article number 2, all in 1 week. This one is from the New York Times. Those 2 are from Newsday. This is from the New York Times. This is about a scam that took place in Chinatown. It's called the Chinese blessing scam. This is a new one, a recent import from China. What would happen is a woman and her granddaughter would approach an elderly Chinese woman down in Chinatown, and they would say, the granddaughter explained to this woman, your sons, and in particular your youngest, would be involved in a bloody incident Within 3 days, unless your money and jewelry were blessed immediately. And they asked the elderly woman how much money she had, and they said $18,000, because many people who live there don't trust banks, and so they really keep their money at home. But this woman was much like my mom, because she had read about this scam. And so when she was approached, she played along with it, filled up a bag with shredded newspaper, alerted the police, alerted the authorities, and in fact they were caught. So it's a great example of scams that are taking place, but people who now understand the importance of knowing about it, taking action, because we cannot be victims. And so I would like to compliment all of you who are here today, because you're taking the time to find out about this. I remember years ago, and I don't know if you remember, there was a commercial for Cy Sims, and they would say, an educated consumer is our best customer. And so for us, an educated resident is our safest resident. An educated senior is our safest senior. And so I applaud you for being here today to learn about these things, hopefully spread the word, let people know how important it is to be aware of elder abuse, to be aware of scams, not only to be aware of it, but if you suspect it, to report it. You know, and John before had said, call my office, call the district attorney's office, call the police, call all the wonderful people who have spoken to you today. They have an interest in making sure that you are protected. And so I congratulate you for being that educated resident. Thanks very much.